worried that you might be the cool kid, you wear the latest fashions on top of all the trends? Or have you ever worried you were too much in the mainstream, always so generic, more normal than your friends? Well, we've devised a test to put to rest your fears. There's no need to panic if you lend us your ears. Tonight you can't sleep easy after all that you've heard, cause if you like the show, then you're probably a nerd. Oh, Canon, it's all. Tyler, Phil, and Boris. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all in Canon.
It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for a new episode of the It's Canon podcast, a show where we like to chat about anything and everything, because the best part of it all is that it's all in canon. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and this week I am joined by Phil.
It's allergy season.
Yeah, it really is.
Yep.
Man, what a day! What a day here. But we have. I wanted to, let me just lie and say we have a lot to cover, because the truth is, I have no idea what we're going to talk about today, but there is so much, though. There's a lot going on. Like, we've talked about it the past few weeks, from May till about September. There's just so many video game releases. There's some good movies that are coming out. Comics, independent, creator owned, always going well. So we're gonna just have our smorgasbord here. Tyler is doing whatever Tyler does. Brief conversation this afternoon, but it's hopefully he's feeling okay.
He's milking the goats. Okay. Milking the goats.
How are you feeling, Phil?
I'm doing well. There's some shows as well that's dropping. I'm telling you, Silo, Muppets Mayhem, the Electric Mayhem thing. There's some fun TV starting to crop up. So, on top of everything else that you mentioned, we have so many more. I found this week was more distracting than most for television, for video games, for everything. It was just overwhelming. And it's only going to get busier. That's for sure. So there's lots to wet your whistle with out there, people, and eat it up, man. I'm telling you, because this writer strike, woo-wee, might not get good eatings for a while.
Yeah, to say the least. Which is interesting because I saw this thing earlier today. It was on Facebook, and it was one of those Toronto-centric groups, and essentially it was this picture because they're filming that Welcome to Derry show in Toronto. Actually, it's very close to me. It's that the It prequel series for Max, whatever it's called. So they're filming that near me, and there were two separate conversations going. Number one, cool, nice to know that that's being filmed here in Toronto. So it kind of makes you wonder what the final result is going to look like, because in a lot of shows, I'm sure you've noticed, it never looks like Toronto ever. So
that's when they're well done.
Exactly. And then there's suits. So when you can see the CN Tower, in every frame.
Well, just remember, what was a Bulletproof Monk? All right, that one.
Yes,
that one set the bar for me.
Yes. That you're so true on that one. So you got that right. Cool being filmed here. Then you had this really weird conversation about privacy, and someone was going, and this is Facebook. Let's just remind everyone that this is Facebook. So there was someone that's going apeshit crazy about the fact that he went up to ask what they're filming, and they lied. And everyone's like, dude, they signed NDAs. They're technically not allowed to tell you what they're filming for NDA reasons. No one's gonna, risk their job for telling this random person
randos
what they're filming, right?
Exactly.
Especially, people don't realize that part. And he's like, it's my neighborhood. I have a right to know. The rights and of a Canadian surpass any NDA that's out there. And this guy's just fucking going ape shit, right?
Whoa. Okay, great.
That's the second conversation that was going on. And then the third conversation that was going on was, this is a scab set. And this person like literally just started like typing out. You could just hear them say scabs, scabs, scabs. It's like, number one, it's not a scab set for the simple fact that the show has already been written. A lot of times that sets close down is because they have a writer on set. So if there's a writer on set, you can't continue, especially with the way that a lot of shows work, right? But they're taking a risk with this show and they're using the scripts that they have, and that is that. So I understand that viewpoint of it being a scab set to a certain extent. I really do. And again, we talked about it just a few weeks ago, last week. Want the it feels like weeks ago now. I want the writers to get what they are owed. I think we're in a position, the studios are in a position that they need to buck up. I'm firmly on board with the writers. Like, if that wasn't a surprise, if that wasn't made abundantly clear last week, but to go off and just like start shitting on people who are just making a living.
I can even congregate that with another scenario where this happened. I brought this up last week with Tony Gilroy and Andor season 2. So this week, I see news in the Star Wars community from X Clips that he starts complaining about the fact that Tony Gilroy got so upset that fans accused him of being a scab for continuing on season 2 as a showrunner / writer and using his writing credentials to be the on-set writer while the show was still filming, that he decided to stop filming. Okay, they're 65% of the way through, which means there's 35% to complete, which will be completed post the writer's strike. However, Tony Gilroy has said that he is not available for that. So now Andor season 2, for the last 35% of what's not shot, is not going to have the guy who made season 1 in its entirety and made every director conform to the uniformity of the season, is not going to be there.
Yep.
So there's a price for words, people. And just know what you're talking about before you throw the accusation, right? And that's the thing. You don't know every situation. Give them a chance to exonerate themselves. I know it's a crappy situation and we want people to have their jobs, their benefits, and all the other things that we talked about last week. But we also have to realize that we don't know everything about what's happening in these situations either. So,
well, look at Alana Pierce. She kind of took some heat from randoms because she's a writer, but she had to remind people she's not a union writer.
Yeah, she's a contract writer. For the longest time, that's all her employee status would allow because she didn't have a green card.
Yep.
So she wasn't allowed to join a union. She was only allowed to be directly contracted. Otherwise, she would have been deported. So this is all rapidly changing. That's why all of her channels got demonetized on YouTube and Switch and everywhere else, is because she tried to migrate them away from the rights holder that held them back in Australia, that was getting paid, that was paying her for her work in the States from the American subsidiaries.
Yep.
So yeah, she's in the process of detangling herself from it because she has a green card now. And I realize now that I know far too much about Alana Pierce.
Well,
I know
it made headlines last week, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because within 24 hours she was working on the whole demonetization, but then Nintendo screwed her over.
And then Nintendo screws her over with the Tears of the Kingdom. Oh my goodness. She couldn't catch a break.
Live streamed or restreamed a preview that Nintendo
authorized
had said okay to.
Yep. But Nintendo's on that DMCA path right now. I'm even afraid to even mention it other than I played the video game.
No, we don't show anything. We don't talk about it. So ooh, yeah. So it's kind of funny because it's funny when the original incarnation of It's Canon, when it was doing everything, right?
Yeah.
Really focused on comics and stuff. I had a very interesting relationship with Disney, and they would send exclusives from time to time. And this was back in 2015, 16, 15, when the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon was out for Disney Plus, Disney
Channel.
Max. Yeah, one of those channels. And they sent me an exclusive trailer, and I uploaded it, listened to their instructions on when I could release it, did whatever I needed to do. Within an hour, that video got demonetized. I got a DMCA notice. And I'm like, well, fuck you, Disney.
Yeah. Oh, but you know what? There's not a person that's in control of that. It's an algorithm, unfortunately.
Yep, it's an AI.
I'm just gonna call it Dave. Dave is a fucker. Like,
yeah,
it's just everything falls under Dave's domain, and Dave doesn't understand what's what because nobody tells Dave anything. He's just getting his Timmy's coffee and going to work every day.
When you get dinged on something like this, don't freak out. Don't get upset. Don't get mad. Just remember that it's an algorithm. It's Dave doing this to you. And really, the easiest thing to do is just sending an email to the right people. Sometimes it is hard to find who that right people are, but sending an email and things usually get cleared up.
Yeah. Like Alana handled all of this really well. Like even when her YouTube, she's like, do you know how much I make each month off of YouTube's? $78. She was just, fuck that.
Yeah, sometimes it's not worth the hassle.
Exactly. I don't blame her. I'm like, yeah, well, she still is gonna win, but she's like, yeah, well, if I miss a month or two, like, who cares, right? Like, I don't make money off of this. I make money off of writing, like God of War.
Yeah.
And Bingo. Alex has joined us.
Yep. Hey, Alex. Glad that you were able to pry yourself off of Tears of the Kingdom to listen to the show. So welcome. Welcome to everyone else who were able to pry themselves off. Because literally, I have not even picked up the game yet.
Oh my goodness. Remember, I was supposed to get it tomorrow.
Yes.
I was supposed to get it on the 16th of May. And I was quite happy with waiting for it until tomorrow. Because honestly, I've been like knee deep in Jedi Survivor. And fortunately, give credit to Amazon on this one. I ordered something on the weekend that I shouldn't have ordered. I was catching up on a set that I decided I didn't want to catch up on, but hey, that's me, folks. And it got thrown into my box. And they were just like, well, since we're shipping you this box, we're just going to put this video game inside of it and then bill you now. So lo and behold, Saturday morning, I open up the box and there's Tears of the Kingdom. And I wrestled with it for up until last night, realizing we were going to record today. And I played like half an hour of it. And it was good. Took me half an hour to get my Switch like hooked up and working and like charged, and then charge a controller, and then I was just like, every turn the Switch fought me, and it's buried way behind my monitor, and I'm just like, oh god, like this is a nightmare. And eventually I got the cartridge inside, I got the update done, which wasn't that bad, but I went through the tutorial, I saw the splash screen, I navigated Link down to the ground from his up high departure point, and I was just like, okay, this seems like it'll be fun, but holy shit, I've got to learn a whole new ecosystem of buttons, and I'm already programmed, like I already fell back into Animal Crossing of hitting the X button instead of the A button, you know what I mean? Like hitting the Nintendo button to go forward. And then I fire up my Xbox and I'm like, oh, damn.
Also, I keep forgetting that we're live streaming so people can see my eye rolls at you now.
Yes.
Phil. Phil. So are you still in that tutorial?
Yeah. I'm still like, hey, like I gotta go and do my Jedi Survivor thing. Like, I'm really disappointed Tyler's not here because I would want to find out how freaking far back I am compared to where I think I am, because things are getting weird now. And I'm like, this isn't staging out the way I thought it was going to stage out. And I don't think I'm really deep into the game, but I think that I'm far enough that I'm seeing stuff on the internet and I've already seen it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know where that scene is. Like, okay, I can just start to calm my shit now. Like I'm swinging in there at least, and I know that there's a lot to go. And unfortunately for thumbnails, the Rad Brad, I wish that there was more discretion about the thumbnails, because I noticed that there's a big villain who wears a dark mask, you know, something like that one coming up, or at least a memory or a flashback. I don't know what. So, you know, let's keep that like that. But there are little of like these little spoilers that keep on eking out for those of us trying to avoid them. And I don't mean to spoil it for anybody else there, but I'm just saying you're going to trip across it because it's like,
there's so much out there now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a break from video games for one quick second.
Sure.
Can I show the picture that you sent me on Saturday?
Oh, this is part of what? Yeah, sure.
I'm assuming this is tied to this story.
Yeah, it is in a weird way.
So, okay, I'm going to share this. And you remember, we're people do listen to us in podcast form still, so we still have to.
Yeah. Well, I haven't posted this
shit
on my socials yet. It is made with the anticipation of posting it on my socials, which this is my lovely kitchen counter where I take pictures of all my Lego inbox.
You sent me this, and I'm like, first off, like, I forget what I was doing. I was somewhere. I was in home. I was out doing something, and I'm like, what is this blob? I actually take a closer look at it, and I'm like, holy shit, Phil, what the hell did you buy? So for the podcast listeners, Phil, you can paint them a picture.
Okay, in this, I have the full diorama set from last year's Star Wars Lego. The full diorama set that's been released so far for this year's Lego diorama, and the two sets that I consider diorama sets from 2 years ago, which is Darth Vader's meditation chamber and the droid off to the side, the battle droid hovering over the sink. I thought that was rather clever. And then the one that I had to buy this week was that Death Star trench run in the middle. And I ended up getting the Dagobah set this week as well, but that's still pretty cheap. And the bottom one, which is a trash compactor, which everybody freaked out was overpriced, and that's going to be the darling of them all. And then for May the 4th, I got the other two, which is the Emperor's Throne Room with the new Luke hairpiece. Ooh. And the 40th Jedi anniversary. And the Endor set. So this is a few years worth of collections. I just haven't opened the boxes yet. I'm assembling.
It's just still, I'm like, oh my god. Here we go.
These are all 18 plus Star Wars. But this is the lure of collecting, right? Like it brings me happiness to even have these in box, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
My least favorite is that Death Star one. Now I have all of these in concept form from dating back 5 years of them making these as miniature diorama sets as the pre-digest to all this. So it's pretty bad. Like The ultimate one to add to this is the one that you can't get, like that went extinct on the first day, and that will be the Executor or whatever, the Super Star Destroyer MIDI scale. So once that's added, then it will be complete.
Yep. Out of all these, I want the Imperial droid. That's the one that I want.
Yeah, that one's definitely long retired now. That and Darth Vader's chamber. The Trench Run just retired. The Daggerboss set, get that soon. It is retiring very quickly. The Trash Compactor's retired, and those other two are brand new. But these things are replacing the helmet series, of which, in uncovering all of these out of my pile, I found a couple helmets I didn't even know I bought. So
Jesus.
Oh, you wouldn't believe the pile. I'm never taking a picture of that and showing you.
Because it'll end up on this show now.
Yes, exactly. Now I'm going to be like, hey, I better play with a filter.
Make it all nice. Oh, man. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, no, that's really cool. Yeah, I need to see what I'm going to get. I'm going to get something because I'm going to have a little extra spending cash. I'm not going to LA anymore, it looks like. Long story, friend stuff. So I shouldn't say not going. We're going to postpone it for a few months. So, looks like I may have some spending cash. So
I would humbly suggest the Emperor's Throne Room. It is expensive. It is $129 Canadian.
That's not bad.
The set itself, from everything that I've seen reviewed and whatnot, the set itself, it's magnificent.
So here's what's so fucking funny. This is the funniest thing ever. And again, I for those of you listening on podcast form, youtube.com/ It's Canon Podcast. Just find us because you get the full experience of this show now. I go to lego.com.
Yep.
Yada yada yada. And I know that this is coincidence, but it's just kind of funny. So literally log on as you're talking, saying which one you recommend for me right away.
Yeah.
And boom, the first one that pops up.
Yeah. Telling you that other one, the Interceptor with the Fang Fighter, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good one too. The 129. Yeah.
I kind of want that. That one.
I'm surprised I'm surprised they're all still in stock, considering May 4th. But that Mandalorian N1 Starfighter, that's retiring soon, but you could probably find that on deeper discount.
High Bomber,
Amazon. High Bomber, that's a good one this year. They haven't made that since 2002, and it comes with Ray Sloan, which is a deep cut from the books. So that's a darling set of mine too. I have that one, and I'm quite looking forward to putting Ray Sloan into my minifig collection.
Yeah.
So
the AT-AT is another one that I should pick up.
That is retiring very soon.
That's fucking expensive.
The 199 or the 899? Oh,
the 1049.
Well, there's two of them. There's a $199 one that is retiring imminently, if not already retired. And that one is a fantastic set for the money than the $1,000 one. Because I'll tell you that AT-AT, the big one, is going to be retired, I believe, this year and replaced. Maybe it's going to be the gunship. It's going to be replaced by the UCS Venator, which is going to be, I think, an $1,100 set.
Yeah.
So it's getting crazy, but those things are like 4 feet long sometimes. Another good one is Luke's X-Wing, but you have to like Luke. Like, it's a steep ask.
Yeah.
R2-D2's in it, though. You'd like R2.
Yeah.
Double-sided print.
I kind of like, I want the Land Speeder. Land Speeder is one that I would for sure pick up.
That's retiring.
I've always been interested in that one.
If you go back up, the ATTE with the clones, that one's a good one at 175 or 179. Scroll down one more bar, or just type in ATTE.
Yep,
yeah, down one more. There you go. That one there comes with Commander Cody. If you're a betting man on minifigs, if you've seen what happened to Captain Rex, this Commander Cody is probably a good investment.
Yep.
So it's the first time they've ever done a Commander Cody minifig. And yeah. The Ahsoka. Oh, the Bosch helmet. I've got that. That's a nice one.
Yeah, I want that one. That's one that
that R2.
That I like.
Yeah, and BD droid from Survivor.
I don't know why I haven't gotten the Darth Vader helmet. I should get that one.
I just don't like it. I find it's too blocky personally. But I'm like the Mando helmet. That's a good one to pick up. Dark Trooper. They'll be giving that away. Oh, look, the trash compactor. Wow, that's got a good R2 in it. That's got one of the best R2s ever made for a minifig. R2. And yeah, we're into the retiring set.
Yeah, now we're in the weeds.
There's the executor. Phil want that bad.
Yeah.
Not going to pay more than regular price, though, people.
Exactly. Right?
I will wait my 2 months, and it will be mine. Oh, yes, it will be mine.
Good reference. I said that recently, and no one had a clue what I meant.
Yeah, we're old.
I'm not. I guess I am.
I'm sure Alex is like, what the hell are they talking about? It's in code. Yeah. But he's learned. He's learning.
Exactly. All right. So, okay. I gotta pick up the 1989 Batwing. This is my last chance. I know it's gonna go up in price like in the next month. Literally,
dude, people are watching the Flash already. Like, that thing's going up like, oh boy, it's on a ladder of Gitch. It's just like,
I know. I don't know what I'm waiting for. It's hard for me to justify $400.
Yeah, well,
only 8 left in stock.
It'll be even harder to justify $400 when you have to justify $800. Believe me, I paid like $20 more for the trench run, and I was cheesed.
Yeah. And there you go. It was literally a reference of Wayne's World, the first
Wayne's
movie.
World. Oh yes, it will be.
Ask your dad.
Yeah.
All right. So, so showed the picture. Going back to the weekend, man, I had a busy weekend. So mainly spent it like just chilling. Saturday kind of spent it with the parents all day.
Yeah.
Had a lunch, and then we ended up just randomly going to the VIP theater to watch the BlackBerry movie.
Oh no. I heard it's good, but is it Boris good? Yeah.
It's Boris good. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Well, that says something. As a guy who used to work there, like
it captures a good look. It's obviously a movie. It's obviously dramatized a little bit, but it captures the key thing that destroyed BlackBerry, and that was egos. And you know this more than a lot of other people, because this is when we talked literally every single moment of every single day. In between crisis after crisis.
Yeah, when the websites were down, when they're up, when the forums are fucked. Yeah.
When we were being accused of being hooligans versus actually being hooligans.
Oh, and that actually happened last week. Ugh.
That's what I mean. Anyways, so one of the things that I always said about BlackBerry and that hurt BlackBerry big time was the fact that Jim Balsillie went out of his way to get that stupid hockey team, and throughout that, he forgot that he was running the biggest tech company in the world.
Almost sounds like Ryan Reynolds, doesn't it?
Right? Yeah, but he at least sold his shares of said company.
Yeah, fair. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it. I gotta say, I've seen the reviews are excellent on it.
The other major thing that hurt BlackBerry, and again, they did a good job of kind of covering this, was when the iPhone was announced and came out.
Yeah.
They just didn't take it serious. They honestly thought that they had the world by the balls. They thought that anything that they came out with, they being BlackBerry, research in motion at the time, thought that people would clamor, the consumers would come in droves to whatever they did, right? Didn't they did not take Apple and the iPhone serious. And yeah, so
man. Like, remember you and I were talking about all this, and I remember there being a great bit of buzz about the iPod Nanos before the iPhone hit here in Canada. iPod Nano buzz came out, and I went down to a local little computer shop that we had downtown Toronto called CompuSmart. It was green with gold writing. And I went in there and they had the Nanos. Like, they had a little stack of them. And they were $350 for this, like, I don't know what it was, 128 or 256 megabyte. It wasn't even gigabytes at that point. It was, you know what I mean? Like the smallest nano you could buy type thing. $350. And I bought it because I had this color screen and this wheel and everything. And I was just absolutely, I had a iPod mini and I was sold on this. I was just like, this is changing music. And then I remember walking through the downtown path system, and there's these little computer shops that would pop up, or these gadget shops that would pop up below a lot of the escalators and stuff. And they were just like little booths with glass, little, with little trinkets in the glass and whatnot. And they were advertising that you could bring them an iPhone from the States and they would unlock it for Canadian markets. And I remember you were like, yeah, at work, because I'm like, well, these iPhones look pretty snazzy, and they're starting to show up. At that time, I was working on trading floors, and I'm like, the high rollers are starting to pull these out instead of BlackBerries. And you were like, yeah, but it's just a fad, Phil. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, and then they brought the 3G to Canada, and they brought it to Rogers and all the majors, Bell, everybody like that. And I remember I bought one of those. I still have it. I kept it. I still have that thing, the 3G, because I was so excited about it. And I traded it up to the 4, the slimmer 4. And I remember, like, you were just like, no, nobody's going to go to these. Everybody wants the physical keyboard. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's pretty good. I'm using it.
yeah.
It's pretty good. We had Blackberries for work. They were the top of the line as far as we were concerned about typing. I did agree. But man, did they ever come a long way fast with that
they did.
iPhone.
They did. And here's the thing, right? I had to say that. You're right.
Yeah.
I had to.
Absolutely.
100% had to. But at work, we were always like, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. They have an app market because their phones are obsolete. Okay, but consumers don't give a shit about the whys. Apple was able to turn a negative into a huge win and revolutionize the world because their phones didn't have the technology. They had to create apps to circumvent the fact that they didn't have everything that they had, that they could have had.
And the crazy thing is they were robbing right out of their own bank account with the iPod market, like putting everything in an all-in-one device that's your phone. At that time, man, your music player was your iPad or your Zune, reference to the Guardians of the Galaxy reference there. Like, it was some other device, just an MP3 player. Like, MP3s were all the rage, but you had to put them on something that could play them. Not everything could play them. They weren't as portable as they were. And the iPhone was this all-in-one device. And if there wasn't something, there was an app for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that was the catch line that was killing things.
Yeah. And the fact that then people could create and submit apps.
Yep. All those
Remember the fad of like the stupidest apps people would just go gaga over?
Oh, the one that would tilt the beer when you pour it down your throat.
Yeah.
Fart noises.
Yeah.
Like, there's everything.
Horns, whipping.
I had an app on my iPhone, and we did a trip out to Montreal or maybe into the States. And my brother and I were using this app, and it was called iPoo. And everywhere you went, you logged where you pooped, and you gave it a rating out of stars, and you left your name, and my name was Dirty Sanchez. I forget my brother's name. We had a great time until racists ruined the thing, because you could do doodles in it, and then people started being racist. So it was just like, oh, well, I don't want to be in this space. Like, idiots are in here. Like, who would have thought the poo app would attract idiots? But yeah, there's an app for it, man. I'm telling you.
And that was the term. There was an app for it, right? There was an app for it. And then, the pressure caught up, and the rest is history, right? So the BlackBerry movie, I suggest, if you're interested in tech, if you weren't old enough to really be around when all of that was going on, that just made me sound old. It's a good watch. It really is. It really is a good. Just remember, I started working there really young.
Yeah, Uncle Boris is talking, Alex.
Yeah, I was like directed at him. But yeah, so BlackBerry movie is very good. Earlier in the week, I did end up watching the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I have not yet watched it.
All right,
I'm
so
good for spoiler-free review.
Yeah, let's do a spoiler-free review. So I was asked by multiple people, and it's so funny when I tell them, just listen to my show. It's like, can I not have a real conversation with you? I'm like, no, because you're not going to download my show. I need that stats is what's going to help me. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, it was better than. Okay, this is going to be like a slap in the face review, but I will explain it. It was better than Thor.
Yeah, good.
It was better than Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, better than Shazam 2.
I didn't even watch it.
Well, that's saying something.
I didn't watch the first one. I couldn't get through the first one.
Shazam 2 was the worst performing DC movie of all time.
No, there you go. I thought it was. But okay, go just quickly on that one. When you destroy a whole universe, do you think people are going to give a shit about continuing to watch said universe?
Probably not.
So, anyways, that's that. It had nothing to do with the movie, in my opinion. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but that's for Boris reasons.
I'm going to say this. My friend Lydia saw the movie, and she texted me, and she gave me a spoiler-free review. See if you agree with this.
Which one are we talking about right now?
Guardians.
All right, bring it on.
She says,
let's get back to the topic.
Wow. Whatever you heard about it on media, throw it out the window. Not at all what I expected. Lots of tears, but that's only because I worked with abused animals. Suggestion would be to recap where my suggestion is to rewatch volume 2, especially the ending.
Yeah, that's about it.
That was
I think
her
that's a very good.
From it.
That's a very good, very, very, very good. Look, the problem I had with the Guardians 3. So if I was gonna put a number to it, I would rate this one 7.9 out of 10.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's not bad. But here are some of the issues I had. The soundtrack. It went out of its way to have a cool soundtrack. And I call this the Charlie's Angel full throttle issue, where the music just felt like it was the movie, where James Gunn went out of his way to say, look how cool I am. I know music and 80s and 90s references.
Yep.
Right?
Which you can point to all of his body of work for that to a degree.
This one was in your face. This one was like, boom, right in your face with that. The classic, and I swear to God, James Gunn, because I know you listen, if his DC universe continues this trend, and I put this to him more than the MCU, of throwing in jokey joke during super serious moments, I swear to God, I am going to rage quit watching anything he does.
Fair warning for DC.
Jokey joke doesn't need to happen in the middle of a super serious scene. I understand when it does happen, but it happens every single time. In this movie, just like your friend said, super serious. Tears. tears would be happening. But it was too much. It was too much. It was too much jokey joke.
Fair. I've heard that there are lots of jokes. I heard most of them worked for the audience, but these are also responses of people that just got out of the theater. So,
yep, agreed. I like that comment. So the other thing is that the story itself was really well done overall. I really liked where they were going with it. So kudos to that. That full points there. But the jokey joke and the soundtrack really bothered me. It almost took me away from the movie that much.
Well, I logged into Spotify on the weekend and it was like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It had a Groot thing there. Groot was there and it said, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. And then the only button that you could press was I am Groot. So I pressed I am Groot and it brought me to the soundtrack. And I'm like, well, I don't want to see the soundtrack because that actually might be a little bit of a spoiler. Maybe not. But I'm just like, I want to kind of maintain the immaculate conception here. So I'm just like, I knew that would get you.
Are we gonna go into like a dogma back and forth right now?
I know, right? So anyhow, there it is, and I'm like, can't help myself but look up the skirt, right? Like I'm just like, okay, like what are we getting into here? And then I see Faith No More, We Care a Lot. And I'm like, that's a darling song for me. I know most people hate it. I know that.
Will love this movie soundtrack.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm stopping there because James Gunn has me at Faith No More. Like I'm like, that is my ultimate 90s band, and that is the pre-record to Epic that like nobody listened to. So
it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. It's a good movie. But these things really stood out. And I think I had the critical judgment. I think I had the angry fan in me just because I'm like, oh, please don't do this to DC. Please don't do this to DC.
Yeah.
Please don't do this to DC.
Or is he putting out a shit submarine to Marvel?
Nah, this was his love story. This was his love story to his Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's be honest. James Gunn single-handedly made the Guardians of the Galaxy cool.
Yep, he did. He really did. I haven't seen it. I look forward to seeing it. I don't think this is going to be the movie that pulls me back into the theater, the dirty COVID theaters. But I will say this: I will be buying with my hard-earned money the 4K version, and I will look forward to sitting down and actually, like this weekend, I spent half of the day on Saturday getting my 4K TV, my 55-inch, with my full stereo working back into working order. It was not broken. It was just disheveled. So I've restored it to its former glory.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to some movie viewing in high definition.
That's how some people would describe me. Not broken, but disheveled.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I did buy Dungeons and Dragons.
Watch that movie.
I haven't watched it. You watched it? Okay. I have not watched it. I've watched a little bit of the intro. I liked what I saw. And this was a movie where I couldn't get through the trailer. I bought the actual 4K on Google. It showed up on YouTube right away, so it didn't have the Avatar 2 problem. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm kind of enjoying the casting.
The movie's good.
Good.
I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. A lot more than I thought I would. Like a lot more than I thought I would.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, Dungeons & Dragons, very fun movie. I would give that one an 8.5. And I'm sorry.
Oh,
wow. Stranger Things is essentially Dungeons and Dragons, but I cannot get through the first 2 episodes. I've tried it multiple times. I think I made it to episode 3, this last time I tried it, and I just couldn't. Stranger Things, not my thing. I can't.
Really?
Sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
Hey, you give it a go. You got to give John Wick a go. Like, seriously, there's one thing I want your honest, like, finished watching, even if I'm dead asleep. I will read it first thing in the morning. Your reaction, especially to the first one. The second and third, I can pretty much guarantee what your reactions are going to be because they're not going to be dissimilar from a lot of ours. But in the first one in particular, they use a technique of motivating you as a viewer to really manipulate you.
Oh, so funny.
I still can't watch Shazam 2 there, Alex. I tried, but I liked the first one. It was one that was filmed in Toronto, and you couldn't really tell. So it was not a bulletproof monk.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. So yeah, Dungeons & Dragons, good. What else did I watch? I watched that movie Air about the Air Jordans.
Oh yeah, it's on Prime Video in Canada for free right now, right?
Yep. Very good.
I gotta watch that. Good.
It was very. It was very. I shouldn't say very good. It's good for what it is.
Kind of like Tetris.
Kind of like Tetris, exactly. I would kind of say it's kind of in the similar motif, little less show and telly, but a little more substance. Yeah, Matt Damon was good in it. Ben Affleck, I just can't take serious anymore. I just can't anymore.
Yeah, well, moviepoopshoot.com.
That's exactly it. So watch that. Saturday night, my friend, she's been bothering me since last week to watch a movie called The Cure for Wellness.
Oh,
it's a horror flick.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be a heart flick, like a
no.
Man called
She would
Otto.
never do that. She would never do that. The Cure for Wellness, and let me tell you this: if you come across it. And I would totally understand why you think it is like one of those lovey-dovey bullshit movies. But no. This is one of the most fucked up movies I have ever seen in my life. The last half an hour, I'm like, wow, what did I watch? Judging her for making me watch this.
Yeah.
Like, unreal.
What is wrong with you? Do you hate kittens?
If you like psychological thrillers and horror, this movie is for you. Oof. And this is one of those movies that stuff happens and you're going to need to rewatch it. And when you rewatch it, the movie seems completely different with that second rewatch, knowing about certain stuff.
Like the usual suspects.
Yeah, exactly like that, but more fucked up.
Oh goodness!
Take the last 5 minutes of 7.
Oh.
What's in the box?
Oh. Don't like those types of movies. No,
I know
watch.
You don't.
I'd rather watch A Man Called Otto and just cry myself to sleep at night.
Yeah, dude.
Die alone. Yeah. It's better than dying by specter.
Cure for Wellness. Very good movie. Very, 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 very screwy. So, damn. That was something. Yeah. So, yeah, I watched a lot of stuff. Didn't play too much. Because I was just back and forth in a lot of places. And my Sundays now are just spoken for, which is at least for now. I'm still getting used to, like, I'm talking about the radio show at this point.
Yep.
And for me, it's the timing, getting the timing down. Recording doesn't take me any time. Recording the news takes me a little while because I want to make sure that I get that perfect. The back and forth, the roundtables, I can bullshit those ones, right? The news takes a little longer because I kind of have more of a script and I need to make sure that I'm enunciating properly and all that. And for me, it's the timing. It's still the timing and the mixing.
Yeah, it takes a little bit, right? There's
Yeah.
a reason why I can rhyme off that spiel at the end. It wasn't overnight.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
So
when it
that
changes,
was
the content changes, it's even worse.
I know. All right, so a couple things that I want to chat with you about. Number one, we're going to start seeing this more and more and more. For example, that whole bill here in Canada about the news and how the big tech companies should be paying the news agencies for the news that they retweet, reuse, regurgitate, right?
Yep.
These big tech companies are like, no, how dare you, right?
Yeah.
So
this is kind of what's gone on up till now. Why shit gotta change?
The ultimate summary. I used to say Cole's Notes a lot, but over the
Nobody
past
knows
few
what
weeks,
Cole's Notes are, man, because if we have
Exactly.
American listeners, they're called something else down there.
Yeah. What are they called? Do we know what they're called down there? I know I've known this in the past.
I can find out because they reference it a lot in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what's going on in Brazil. They're trying to pass a law that essentially regulates big tech. They want to hold big tech accountable for hate speech, for racism, for online bullying, for bullying that leads to suicide. They want to regulate and hold the big companies accountable.
Yeah, well, that was a path that Twitter was going down until Mr. Elon took over and was like, let's all have freedom fries.
Yep.
It's free speech. Everybody can say whatever they want. Well, no, words have repercussions. And somebody has to take responsibility. The platforms have to be more responsible, which is kind of why Mark Zuckerberg and the likes get summoned into Congress to talk about how they manipulate people.
Yeah. So what really sparked this, and this might ring a bell, was on January 8th, thousands of people stormed the National Congress after
January 6th.
After the defeat of the right-wing president, Jair Bolsonaro. This is in
Brazil. Oh, wow. Interesting. Oh,
I knew exactly. I knew you were gonna.
I fell for it.
But that's the thing, right? So this is part of this regulation is, all of this happens through social media. They want to hold big tech companies accountable. Look, I understand that it's hard to do that. I understand that, you if you build it, they will come. It's actually, if you build it, he will come. But also say, if you build it, they will come, right? Yeah. And who are you to tell people what to do on that platform and police people on this platform? But that's what they're saying. These big tech companies need to put, for lack of a better term, be better cops, right? Yep. But this brings in a from both sides, left wing, right wings, from middles, everything, all around the place, right? So this is a very interesting discussion. We're seeing this right now in Brazil, but I honestly do think, right, in Japan's having these conversations right now after the suicide of that wrestler just 3 years ago when we launched this show. Remember, we had that whole episode about that. She was bullied because of an appearance on their version of Big Brother, and she ended up committing suicide. 20 years old, right? We're seeing a lot more of this stuff happening. Convoys.
It's not right?
Right? Stuff like that, all happening through social media. So they're like, okay, but who's to say what's allowed and what shouldn't be allowed, right? That's the hard part, and where I can see tech companies saying, now we're talking about freedom of speech.
Yes and no, but I think Tyler would definitely have an interesting take on this. But I know from a layman's perspective, I just think that there has to be some accountability to truth. Either it's fact or it's not. And saying that example A, Boris is a smelly ape, I think is subjective and it's not necessarily truth, and it could be considered, some form of slander. Because Boris might take offense at that. Somebody who's friends with Boris might take offense with that. So you can't really, you know what I mean? Like maybe the platform should just be like quarantining any statement or figuring out a way for that. And you can't tell me that there isn't the technology, because there is the technology if there's the will for it. Right? That's the thing. It's a question of how live do you want live to be? Obviously, Facebook and these platforms have had to put some degree of filter in on some of the streams. And I know people get by them once in a while, but you don't hear about as much people committing live suicide and things like that, which is all like really dangerous and disturbing things. But you don't hear about it as much as maybe you used to, where people were broadcasting all kinds of things that were unraveling them and damaging them and whatnot, and they're protecting people and trying to minimize that damage. And you can do the same thing, I think, with speech and whatnot. Like Twitter was doing a pretty good job, in my opinion, of trying to at least moderate that discussion and trying to start to go after the people who constantly abused that rule, and they were doing it by committee. And they were trying, like, I'm not saying it was perfect. I know there's a reason why all these other social platforms erupted out of its wake when things got weird. And I just don't think that, for example, in an extreme form, or maybe it's not that extreme, I had to, because there was a guy that was using Twitter, and I thought the guy was already off Twitter. He was, and he got reinstated by Elon, and I thought that he got himself taken off, this Andrew Tate guy.
Yep.
And I see that he's doing stuff again, and he's picking on that Greta Thunberg or whatever her name is, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna block this dude. I don't ever want to see anything from this guy ever in my life. I just don't want to do it as a user. But Twitter had already done that for me, and it was the change in ownership that changed that. And I'm just like, why? Why did you work so hard? Now I think it's all about money. And this guise of freedom of speech, but that's an opinion of mine, right? Like I have nothing to substantiate that. I'm just throwing that out there because it looks like money is an issue. But like they're talking about stuff where Twitter no longer is Twitter and it's something called App X and all this. Yeah, bye-bye for me. Like that's the last of my social programs if that's what's going to happen. I'll see you on Instagram.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some kind of filter. There's got to be some kind of moderation. There's got to be something that even attempts at redacting or controlling these environments. Facebook is having to do it. Otherwise, these places are not safe spaces for our kids and for other sensitive areas of society. And maybe we have to change the rules on that side of the government and legislation. But the government's waking up now. Tech doesn't have the free ticket. That would be my biggest takeaway is, you know what? Smarten up, get the technology to do something, play in that space, because it's clear that the governments are now asking to, I think part of this bill is asking for them to expose the level of aggressiveness of their algorithms and how much negativity their algorithms dial in, and whether or not that can be dialed back by government legislation. And if it's not able to be, it must be by this date. Like you have to give us the switch to dial that back to make people's experience better. And it's the same thing with TikTok and everything like that. But I don't understand how you can be all concerned about TikTok and not be concerned about your domestic product. Because if you ask me, in the States, the biggest problem right now isn't as much, from what I can tell, foreign interference. It's domestic stuff. It's domestic radicalization that's causing most of these issues in the States. And if that's what we're talking about, that's scary as crap. I don't blame the government for wanting to hone in on that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we typically on this show have always talked about the fact that the government is so far behind, that they need to get up to speed, that they need to get ahead of stuff, right? But to me, it's interesting that, okay, we have these bills in the UK. The UK has seen similar issues. They've brought up the online safety bills. There was a famous case where a girl, Molly Russell, aged 14, committed suicide because the algorithms kept throwing ads her way through, like, after online abuse and stuff. Algorithms kept throwing self-harm ads, for lack of a better term, and stuff like that, right? So
and it's the same thing for anybody with an eating disorder, that type of thing. You have an eating disorder and the algorithm finds out, they exploit that. Like, you are fair game for all of these things. Want to get thin fast, want to, this new diet it's crazy.
Okay, here's another case, right? Like where this necessarily, I guess, could happen in social media, but it's just the internet in general. And that's the case of that guy here in Mississauga who sent nitrous to people all over the world.
Yep. This chemical that you use for...
It was legal. It was legal.
This chemical you use for cured meats, to preserve cured meats, but if you take it to a certain degree, it causes death. But I think that there's got to be a body of evidence that shows that this guy knew that he was shipping quantities that were going to be harmful if ingested, and actually probably provided instructions. But
for sure. But I'm just saying, like, on the face of stuff, like, there's all these cases, right? So who's watching the internet, right? And with social media especially, right? It's hard because, okay, so going back to what I was saying, was that the governments are actually trying to do something about this, but then it's the big tech companies who are like, whoa, we can't do this, right? And it's funny that they're not necessarily complaining about the moral, social discussion that's happening, that's, free speech, and what is the nature of hate, and who gets to define hate. But they're more pissed off the fact that, hey, we're gonna have to spend money on something.
Yep, that's exactly it. This isn't the pandemic. We don't have limitless dollars, and we've made layoffs. We don't have resources because we chose not to have them. Because our CEO makes 20 times what any normal human being should be making. Sorry, am I being cynical?
No, well, it's kind of funny, right? Like, I was having this discussion with someone after watching the BlackBerry movie, and it's the term of that golden parachute is bullshit now, because they get a golden parachute each and every year.
Yep, they make more money than we can ever conceive of in a year,
and that was the whole point of the golden parachute. Was they would make more money if something happened to the role, because the chances of them working again were slimmer because of the position that they held.
Yep, they were going to lose cachet in the world, and we're going to be challenged. Yep, I agree. Like, the golden parachute, the whole idea of the golden parachute is just an abandoned thing now. It really is down to, there's too much money being shipped out to a lot. I'm not going to say every, because it's hard to paint with that brush, but a lot of these mega corporations, especially in tech, man, like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious where that goes.
It comes down to this. The tech companies have had free reign. And you're coming from people who work in the tech industry. Big tech has had free reign with zero responsibility, zero like zero real rules. They didn't have to answer to anyone. They could essentially do whatever they wanted. But I'm seeing a change big time. Governments are changing, and this is just one example, right? The hate speech bills that we're seeing more around the world, the Canadian media sharing and fee allocation issues that we're seeing. Australia had a similar bill come up and was passed, right? So, I think the free ride that big tech has had is essentially starting to end.
Yeah, and I think Joe Biden majorly whistled that too, right? He's going with the definite anti-big tech look at all the friction that Microsoft and Activision are experiencing, each week. I know this week they got a little bit of a green signal today, but
yes, today they did, which we're about
today
to talk
they
about.
did. So yeah. Hey, what a segue. I'm telling you, I'm on my game. Don't even know.
You are. So, for example, Microsoft Activision, the buyout was approved by the European Commission. This kind of, but we talked about this months ago, where it literally butts heads with the decision out of the UK, and none of this is surprising. So, again, this is just going to show you that the big ticket that big tech had is ending, right? The blank check, for lack of a better term. The free ride, the blank check, whatever you want to call it. Interestingly enough, I was also seeing today that Microsoft, their Azure system, their cloud-based system, is being scrutinized in the EU because of monopolies, which is interesting because if you look at AWS and you look at Azure, I'm pretty sure AWS has more of the marketplace.
Yeah, they do. I think so. But Azure is baked into a lot of stuff as far as because of the OS system, right? Because of the OS environment. So I think that it gets targeted more because AWS is more of an option, like a backup.
That's what it is.
As a backup, whereas Azure is baked in, and whether or not you want to use the bones that are in there, sorry for getting so geeky on this, but I do. It is something I work in. So not too intimately, but I do have knowledge of it. I was training today in some of it. So
there you go. So yeah, man. So all of this essentially, topic du jour essentially is the blank check, the free ticket that big tech had. It seems to be finishing, and we're gonna for sure be keeping our eye on this, because I think that this is just the beginning of a lot of laws that might not favor big tech. And I'm very interested to see how big tech responds.
Yeah, I would say so. And I'm curious to know what our audience thinks as well. Like, I know we have a pretty wide draw as far as our topics, but I think this is something that really picks up on even just a lot of distribution methods among fans, right? Social media and whatnot. It's going to touch how we live every day. So I think it's very imperative that at least we keep an eye on how it impacts our enjoyment of things, let alone all the serious stuff that gets passed around on social medias.
Yep. That's exactly it. So yeah, man. So very interesting times that we're living in. It's interesting that it's all forms of government that are coming at them, right? It's not a left wing, right wing issue. They have their own reasons to be attacking big tech, but regardless of who's in power, big tech is being attacked right now, and I shouldn't say attacked. They're being questioned. They're being put to. They're getting their time right now to kind of prove their worth, and they're not getting that free ticket that they used to. They have responsibilities in society. They're the ones who completely revolutionize how we live our life each and every single day. So
yeah, I kind of feel like before it was like this. Zuckerberg and the likes would get up there in front of Congress and they go, okay, plug in computer to wall, plug in computer to internet. Ooh, magic. And that was the extent of it, right? And then somebody would go, what happens if the magic don't work? And then Zuckerberg would just go, then the dancing man comes and dances on your screen. And then magic. Facebook happens, the metaverse.
Yep.
Ooh. And that was like all you got. Now we're starting to get intelligent questions from Congress. Now we're starting to get intelligent questions from people in our government where they're like, no, there is no magic. This is something you engineered. We understand the concepts now. We went and we took some courses. So
now that
we're younger
Congress members, that's what it is. Yeah. Right?
We're younger. So we know some of this tech stuff, and that isn't the way it goes. So yeah.
No, I'm very curious, and I never really put a lot of stock into thinking about this until recently. We've talked about it here and there, But you're seeing this more and more, and it's really piquing my curiosity, to say the least.
Yeah, but that's the only thing with government stuff. It's a slow roll, man. It's just like right to repair. But like I say, you got to try to reach out to us on socials and let us know what you think about what's going on in this space. And you can do so at our website at www.itscanonpodcast.com. You can track us down on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at It's Canon Podcast. You can email us at show@itscanonpodcast.com. You can basically subscribe to anywhere you find podcasts. You're going to find the It's Canon Podcast. And you're even going to find us on patreon.com/SNME Radio. We're a part of that network. Our good friends over there bringing you, Boris is part of that team, bringing you all the wrestling news that you could want to know, pop culture, everything under the sun. Patreon.com/SNME Radio. And basically, if you like what you hear, leave a like. If you're on the YouTube at itscanonpodcast.com, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and click that bell notification to let you know whenever we are going to drop one of these crazy things. As always, thank you so much for taking time to listen to us on the It's Canon Podcast. Boris?
Yep. Thank you so much, Phil. And thank you to the listeners, to the viewers, to everyone who's spending the hour and 15 minutes with us. It honestly means the world to us. And you've been listening to the It's Canon Podcast, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything, including Lego, video games, tech, and society. If it happens in the world, we're probably going to talk about it, make a joke about it, and chat some more. He's Phil. I'm Boris. Until next time, take care.